The message came without warning. Major satellites worldwide detected it simultaneously, a transmission that overrode all broadcast signals. On screens across Earth appeared a tall, gray-skinned figure with 4 yellow eyes and ornate armor that seemed to glow from within. "People of Earth," the alien announced in perfect English, "I am General Zorax of the Krivalaxian Empire. Your primitive world has been selected for integration into our galactic dominion. Your resources and labor will serve the greater glory of our civilization." In the Pentagon's crisis room, military officials sat frozen as the message continued. "Your weapons are laughable. Your defenses are meaningless. We have observed your pitiful armies and found them unworthy of genuine concern. Surrender within 3 of your Earth days, or face extinction." The transmission ended, replaced by images from orbit showing massive ships emerging from what appeared to be tears in space itself. They positioned themselves in strategic locations around Earth, silent and threatening. Within hours, the United Nations Security Council had convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation spoke over each other in panic until Secretary General Okafor slammed her hand down. "We need experts, not panic," she shouted. "Where are our military advisors?" In walked Major Jack Harrison. At 42, Harrison had seen combat on 3 continents and earned respect from allies and enemies alike. His face, weathered from years in harsh environments, remained calm despite the crisis. "Ma'am," he said simply, nodding to the Secretary General, "I've been asked to serve as military liaison for this situation." Behind him came a woman in her 30s with intense brown eyes and dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Dr. Olivia West, Cynobiology Department, Oxford University. She introduced herself. "I've been studying the physical characteristics displayed in the transmission." The room fell silent as Dr. West projected her findings onto the main screen. The Krivalaxians appear to have evolved on a low-gravity world. Note the thin limbs, elongated spine, and what appears to be minimal muscle mass despite their height. Their technology clearly compensates for these limitations. Harrison stepped forward. "They're making a classic military mistake. They're showing contempt for an enemy they haven't engaged yet." "Major Harrison, they have spacecraft that can tear holes in reality," said the Chinese representative. "What possible advantage could we have?" Harrison's eyes narrowed. "They think they know us, but they don't. Not really." Outside the crisis room, civilians worldwide faced the reality of possible extinction. Highways clogged with people fleeing cities. Religious leaders called for prayer. Some celebrated what might be their final days in wild abandon. In orbit, more Krivalaxian ships arrived hourly. They deployed smaller platforms that began scanning Earth's surface in detail. Dr. West worked through the night analyzing every frame of the transmission. When Harrison brought her coffee at dawn, she looked up with excitement. "I found something. Look at how Zorax moves. There's a careful precision to it, like he's uncomfortable with the environment where the recording was made." Harrison leaned closer. "What are you thinking?" "Their homeworld. I believe it might be tectonically inactive. No earthquakes, no significant geological activity. Based on their physiology and behavior, they'd be extremely sensitive to ground vibrations." Harrison's mouth formed a small smile. "So what happens when beings evolved in a stable environment face the reality of Earth?" Reports came in of strange objects landing in remote areas across the globe. First contact with ground forces was imminent. In the Secretary General's office, Harrison stood at attention. "Ma'am, I need authorization to form a special task force. I believe I've identified a weakness we can exploit." She studied him carefully. "These aliens crossed galaxies to get here, Major. What could you possibly do against that kind of power?" Harrison's eyes held firm conviction. "Make them regret underestimating this planet and everything on it." Outside, the skies darkened as more ships arrived. Earth's deadline was counting down, but for the first time since the message arrived, a plan was forming. one that might just save humanity. Major Harrison stood before the hastily assembled international defense team. Maps and satellite images covered the walls of the underground command center. 72 hours. That's what General Zorax had given them before the full invasion would begin. "We need to understand exactly what we're facing," Harrison said, nodding to Dr. West. Olivia adjusted her glasses and pointed to the holographic display. The Krevelaxians evolved on a planet with approximately 0.7 of Earth's gravity. Their skeletal structure suggests their world has minimal tectonic activity. No earthquakes, no volcanoes, perhaps not even mountains as we know them. The Russian general scoffed. "And how does this help us against energy weapons that can vaporize tanks?" "Because," Harrison replied, "they've never fought on a planet like Earth. They don't understand our terrain, our weather, or our geology." Dr. West displayed footage captured by reconnaissance drones. Alien scouts were setting up equipment in the Mojave Desert. Even with their advanced technology, the aliens moved awkwardly, struggling with Earth's stronger gravity. When a minor dust storm blew through their camp, several soldiers fell into obvious distress. Their technology is designed to compensate for their physical limitations, Dr. West explained. Those suits they wear, they're not just armor. They're exoskeletons that help them move in our gravity. Harrison pointed to another screen showing an alien device being installed. And those are stability platforms. They're dampening natural ground vibrations. Even small tremors seem to disorient them. The Brazilian admiral leaned forward. "You're suggesting we use Earth itself as a weapon?" "Exactly," Harrison said. "We can't match their technology, but they can't adapt to our planet overnight either." Harrison introduced a civilian in rumpled clothes who had been quietly observing from the corner. "This is Dr. Nathan Price, seismologist from Caltech." "Doctor, tell them what you told me." Dr. Price stepped forward nervously. "We can create controlled seismic events, not large enough to cause widespread damage, but enough to disrupt their operations. Strategic detonations along fault lines, hydraulic pressure at key points, even coordinated mining explosions could create ground vibrations that would be merely inconvenient for us, but potentially devastating to them." The French defense minister looked skeptical. "You want to cause earthquakes. That's your plan." "Targeted tremors," Harrison corrected, "combined with conventional tactics designed to exploit their physical weaknesses in our environment." On the main screen, new footage appeared. Krevelaxian soldiers tumbling down a gentle slope, their movements jerky and uncoordinated in Earth's gravity. "They expected to walk in and take our world with minimal resistance," Harrison said. "They studied our weapons but not our planet. That's their mistake." As the defense team debated, an aide rushed in with a tablet. "Sir, we've intercepted communications from the Krevelaxian fleet. They've detected our increased military activity." The room fell silent as General Zorax's face appeared on screen. "Your pathetic attempts at preparation are noted," the alien commander said. "Your resistance will serve only to extend your suffering. I have commanded the conquest of 17 worlds. Earth will be no different." When the transmission ended, Harrison looked around the room. 17 worlds, but none like ours. He's fighting a type of war he understands. We need to fight one he doesn't. The Chinese general who had dismissed Harrison earlier now studied the maps thoughtfully. "What exactly do you propose, Major?" "Operation Earthshaker," Harrison replied. "A 3-phase plan to use Earth's natural conditions against them while protecting civilian populations." Dr. West stepped closer to the planning table. "Their first landing zones are all in geologically stable areas. That's not coincidence. They're avoiding regions with natural seismic activity." The Secretary General, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. "How quickly can you implement this plan, Major Harrison?" Harrison checked his watch. "We have 64 hours before their deadline. We need every minute." Outside, the alien ships continued to position themselves around the globe, unaware that the planet they sought to conquer might become their greatest enemy. The planning room hummed with activity as Operation Earthshaker took shape. Maps covered every surface, with red markers indicating predicted alien landing zones and blue markers showing points where seismic activity could be triggered. The principle is simple, explained Dr. Daniel Foster, the geophysicist brought in from the U.S. Geological Survey. We can't create earthquakes out of nothing, but we can release existing pressure along fault lines in controlled ways. Harrison nodded, watching as Foster demonstrated with a 3D model. And you're sure this won't cause catastrophic damage to our own infrastructure? We're targeting minor faults away from population centers, Foster assured him. Think of it as releasing steam from a kettle before it boils over. Small, controlled releases. Lieutenant Kate Bennett, a compact woman with short blonde hair and 15 years in Special Forces, spread out detailed maps. My demolition teams can place charges at these key points. Each would trigger localized tremors between 3.0 and 4.0 on the Richter scale, hardly noticeable to us, but significant to beings that evolved without seismic activity. And how do we deliver these charges with alien ships monitoring our movements? Asked the British general. Small teams, moving quietly, Harrison replied. The Krivalaxians are watching for military convoys and aircraft. They're not looking for four-person units in civilian vehicles. Dr. West pointed to satellite imagery showing strange devices being installed by alien scouts. These are seismic dampeners. They're placing them around their landing zones to create stable ground. That confirms our theory about their sensitivity. So we target areas just outside their dampening fields, Harrison concluded. Force them to choose between abandoning their positions or suffering the effects. The Secretary General frowned. The risk to civilian populations is minimal compared to what happens if the Krivalaxians gain a foothold. Harrison interrupted respectfully. We've run the models a dozen times. This gives us our best chance. As the senior officials debated, alarms suddenly blared. The main screen activated to show a new transmission from General Orcs. Humans, the alien commander sneered, his four eyes blinking in sequence. We have monitored your communications. Your attempts at resistance are both futile and amusing. I have conquered worlds with defenses far superior to yours. Your primitive strategies cannot possibly succeed. The transmission cut to aerial footage of military bases worldwide, clearly taken from Krivalaxian surveillance. We see all. We know all, Zorax continued. As a demonstration of our power, we have reduced your deadline. You now have 48 hours to surrender. When the screen went dark, silence filled the room. They're bluffing, Harrison said finally. If they monitored our actual communications, they would have mentioned Operation Earthshaker specifically. Or they want us to believe they haven't discovered our real plan, the Chinese general countered. Either way we proceed, Harrison insisted. Bennett, how quickly can your teams deploy? First units are already moving, she replied, checking her tactical pad. We'll have initial positions ready within 12 hours. Dr. West approached with new data. We've detected alien scout ships landing in remote areas. The Gobi Desert, the Australian outback, Siberia. They're establishing environmental monitoring stations. They're testing our atmosphere, soil, water, Foster added. Standard planetary assessment before full deployment. Harrison studied the landing patterns. They're avoiding fault lines entirely. Their geological data must be extensive, but incomplete, Dr. West said. They don't know we can trigger seismic activity artificially. Outside the command center, the world continued its uneasy wait. Some prayed, some prepared for battle, others simply held loved ones close. In secret locations across 6 continents, small teams of specialists moved quietly into position, carrying equipment that looked innocuous but could literally shake the ground beneath an invader's feet. As night fell over the command center, Harrison stood alone at the window, watching distant lights in the sky. Alien ships positioning themselves for what they believed would be an easy conquest. They think they know what they're getting into, he murmured. They have no idea. Dawn broke over the Nevada desert, revealing a changed landscape. Where yesterday there had been only sand and scrub, now stood a Kree-Valaxian forward base. Angular structures of gleaming metal surrounding a central command post. Alien soldiers moved between buildings, setting up equipment and establishing a perimeter. From his position 2 miles away, concealed behind a rocky outcrop, Harrison observed the alien activity through high-powered binoculars. "They're struggling," he noted to Bennett, who lay prone beside him. "Watch their movements." The lieutenant focused her own binoculars. "They're walking like they're in water. Every step seems calculated." "Earth's gravity is punishing them," Harrison replied. "Their muscles and bones aren't adapted for it." The small observation team included Dr. West and a communications specialist named Ryan Garcia. They had traveled through the night in unmarked vehicles, carefully avoiding main roads and aerial detection. "Those devices they're placing every 50 meters. Those are the seismic dampeners," Dr. West said, pointing to disc-shaped objects being embedded in the ground. "They're creating a stable zone." Harrison checked his tactical pad, which displayed a map of the surrounding area with geological features highlighted. "They've set up directly on stable bedrock." That's not coincidence. A sudden flash from the alien base caught their attention. A moment later, General Zorax's voice boomed across the desert, amplified by technology that made it sound as if he were standing right beside them. "Humans of Earth, your primitive militaries cower in their bases while we establish our dominion. Your weapons are toys compared to our technology. Your soldiers are weak compared to our warriors. You have 24 hours remaining to surrender." Harrison exchanged looks with his team. "They're overconfident. That works for us." He activated his secure communicator. "Eagle's Nest. This is Dustwalker. Target is established and vulnerable. Request permission to initiate Phase 1. The response came immediately. "Dustwalker, this is Eagle's Nest. You are clear to proceed. Good hunting." Harrison nodded to Bennett, who opened her pack to reveal a sophisticated control system. "Charges are in place at the designated points. Triggering system online." "Dr. West, final assessment?" Harrison asked. She studied her readings. "The alien dampeners have a radius of approximately 1 kilometer. Our charges are placed just beyond their field." "Garcia, alert all observation posts to be ready," Harrison ordered. "Everyone else, ear protection on." As they inserted their special earplugs, Bennett's fingers moved across her control pad. "Initiating in 3, 2, 1. The ground remained still where they stood, but in the distance, dust rose from several locations in a perfect circle around the alien base. Seismographs in Bennett's equipment registered tremors of 3.6 to 3.9, mild by human standards, but precisely calculated for maximum effect on the Kree-Valaxians. Through their binoculars, they watched chaos unfold. Alien soldiers stumbled and fell. Equipment toppled. Even with their dampeners, the vibrations penetrated enough to cause disorientation. Several of the taller structures swayed dangerously. "Their equilibrium is completely disrupted," Dr. West observed. "Their inner ear structure isn't designed to handle these vibrations." The aliens scrambled in obvious distress. Some collapsed entirely, while others activated personal shield devices that seemed to stabilize them temporarily. Then came the response. Energy weapons fired into the desert in all directions, vaporizing rocks and sand, but hitting nothing of consequence. "They don't know what's happening," Harrison said with grim satisfaction. "They think they're under attack, but can't identify the source." The alien base's central command suddenly projected General Zorax's image, 100 feet tall, above their position. His 4 eyes blazed with fury. "Your primitive attack is noted, humans," he roared. "This pathetic attempt to resist will be punished severely. The invasion timetable is accelerated. Full deployment will begin immediately." As the projection vanished, Harrison calmly packed his observation equipment. Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. "What now?" Garcia asked, looking nervously at the alien base where soldiers were recovering and reinforcements were already arriving through teleportation portals. "Now," Harrison said, "we show them what it really means to fight on Earth's terms. All teams, move to Phase 2 positions." In orbit, the massive Kree-Valaxian ships began to shift, preparing for what they believed would be the final conquest of another helpless world. The sky darkened with alien ships over every major city on Earth. Massive landing vessels descended through the atmosphere, their hulls glowing red-hot from the friction. The Kree-Valaxian invasion had begun in earnest. In Washington, D.C., London, Beijing, Moscow, and dozens of other capitals, the alien craft hovered menacingly before disgorging transport pods that streaked toward the ground. Each pod opened to release 20 Kree-Valaxian soldiers, fully armed and ready for conquest. From the command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Harrison coordinated the global response. Screens showed battles erupting worldwide as Earth's military forces engaged the invaders. "Status report," he demanded, as the command center bustled with activity. "Aliens have established 47 major landing zones," Bennett replied, her fingers flying across multiple keyboards. "Their heaviest concentrations are in North America, Europe, and East Asia." Dr. West rushed in, her lab coat wrinkled from hours of continuous work. "Major, I've made a critical discovery. The seismic vibrations aren't just disorienting them physically, they're affecting them neurologically." She displayed brain scan data on the main screen. The Kree-Valaxian nervous system appears hypersensitive to vibrational frequencies between 20 and 100 Hz. "That's why they're placing dampeners everywhere." Harrison's eyes widened. "So we can use sound as a weapon." "Precisely. Low-frequency sound waves, combined with ground vibrations, their effect would be multiplicative." Harrison immediately contacted Lieutenant Bennett. "Kate, we need to modify Phase 2. Add sonic transmitters to all deployment packages." On the battlefield, the initial human response seemed ineffective. Conventional weapons could damage the alien armor, but the Kree-Valaxians advanced relentlessly through cities and across open terrain. Their energy weapons cut through tanks and bunkers with frightening ease. Yet the aliens weren't having the easy victory they expected. In terrain that human fighters knew intimately, the invaders found themselves at a disadvantage. Urban combat proved especially difficult for the tall, slender aliens who struggled with Earth's gravity and varied surfaces. In Chicago, Kree-Valaxian forces advancing down Michigan Avenue were suddenly thrown into chaos when the street beneath them began to vibrate. Hidden charges placed by Bennett's teams had activated, creating localized tremors that sent alien soldiers stumbling into each other. At the same time, modified police sound cannons broadcast low-frequency waves that penetrated their armor. Similar scenes played out in Moscow, where Russian special forces lured alien units into subway tunnels before triggering controlled cave-ins. In the Amazon rainforest, Brazilian defenders used the dense vegetation and unstable ground to their advantage, leading Kree-Valaxians into prepared ambush zones where both earth and sound worked against them. In the command center, Harrison watched as the pattern repeated globally. The aliens would advance, humans would tactically retreat, drawing them onto prepared ground, and then Operation Earthshaker would activate, turning the planet itself into a weapon. "They're adapting," Dr. West warned, pointing to new data. "Their second-wave troops have modified armor with enhanced stabilization." Harrison nodded grimly. "We expected that. Time for Phase 3. As he spoke, alarms blared throughout the command center. The main screen switched to orbital views, showing a massive vessel, far larger than any previously seen, descending toward Earth. "It's their command ship," Bennett said, checking the readings. "Energy signatures off the charts." The communications officer looked up from his station. "Sir, we're receiving a direct transmission." General Zorax's face appeared on screen, his 4 eyes narrowed with rage. "Your resistance is impressive but futile. Humans, you force me to take personal command of this situation. I will no longer trust subordinates with what should be a simple conquest. The transmission ended abruptly. He's coming down himself, Harrison said quietly. He's angry, making it personal. That's good, right? Asked a young officer. That means we're winning. Harrison shook his head. It means the real fight is just beginning. Zorax has conquered 17 worlds. He won't give up easily. Dr. West studied the descent path of the command ship. He's landing in the Himalayas, relatively stable geological zone. Then we bring the mountain to him, Harrison said, turning to his team. Prepare Phase 3 immediately. All units worldwide. Execute maximum pressure. It's time to show General Zorax exactly what he's up against. Outside, the skies continued to fill with alien craft, but for the first time since the invasion began, they no longer seemed invincible. The massive Krivalaxian command ship settled onto a high plateau in the Himalayas. Its landing legs crushed ancient rock as stabilization fields activated, creating a bubble of artificial calm in one of Earth's most geologically active regions. General Zorax emerged from the ship surrounded by elite guards. Their armor gleamed with technology far beyond human development, and they moved with practiced precision, despite Earth's challenging gravity. The alien commander surveyed the mountain landscape with all four eyes, disgust evident in his posture. This primitive world continues to resist what should be inevitable, he hissed to his second-in-command. Establish the command center immediately. I will coordinate all planetary operations from here. 50 miles away, Harrison and a small strike team watched through advanced optical systems. The team had infiltrated the region ahead of Zorax's arrival, using their knowledge of mountain paths to avoid alien patrols. They set up exactly where we predicted, Harrison said, lowering his binoculars. Arrogant to the end. Bennett checked the geological survey data on her pad. We've placed charges along the connecting fault lines. Once triggered, the vibrations will converge directly beneath their position. This will be no minor tremor, cautioned Dr. Foster through their comlink. We're talking about a localized 6.5 event. The collateral effects could be significant. We've evacuated all villages within the impact zone, Harrison confirmed. This ends today. While Harrison's team prepared the final phase of Operation Earthshaker, battles raged worldwide. Human forces had learned to fight effectively against the invaders, using Earth's varied environments to their advantage. In desert regions, sudden sandstorms blinded alien sensors. In tropical zones, humidity wreaked havoc on their equipment. Everywhere, the controlled seismic and sonic attacks continued to disorient Krivalaxian troops. Inside his mountain command center, Zorax received increasingly desperate reports from his field commanders. Impossible, he roared, smashing a holographic display. How can these primitives be countering our advanced technology? A science officer approached cautiously. General, our analysis suggests they are weaponizing their planet's natural instability. The vibrations. I am aware of the vibrations. Zorax snapped. Deploy all remaining dampening fields. Increase the power to maximum. The officer hesitated. Sir, drawing that much power may compromise our defensive systems. Do it. I will not be defeated by creatures who have barely left their own atmosphere. Outside, Harrison received the signal he had been waiting for. Allied forces worldwide were in position for the coordinated attack. Every remaining seismic charge and sonic weapon would activate simultaneously, creating a global wave of disruption for the Krivalaxians. All teams report ready, Bennett confirmed. Harrison took a deep breath. Execute Phase 3. Across the planet, hidden devices activated in perfect synchronization. The effect was immediate and devastating. Krivalaxian formations collapsed in confusion as the ground beneath them seemed to come alive. Their dampening fields, now stretched to maximum capacity, began to fail one after another. In the Himalayan command center, alarms blared as sensors detected the approaching wave of seismic energy. Zorax roared orders as his officers scrambled to respond. Incoming. Harrison warned his team, pressing himself flat against the rocky ground. The mountain shook with tremendous force. Rocks tumbled down slopes as the carefully calculated tremors converged on Zorax's position. Despite their advanced technology, the alien dampening fields collapsed under the concentrated seismic assault. Through his binoculars, Harrison watched as cracks appeared in the plateau supporting the command ship. Kree-Valaxian soldiers stumbled and fell, their equilibrium completely destroyed by the vibrations. Equipment toppled and shattered. In the chaos, Harrison led his strike team forward, moving quickly despite the treacherous terrain. Their mission: confront Zorax directly while his forces were in disarray. They reached the perimeter of the alien command center as secondary explosions erupted from damaged equipment. The massive ship listed to one side as the ground beneath it continued to shift and crack. At the command center entrance, Harrison found himself face to face with General Zorax. The alien commander stood unsteadily, his four eyes wide with something humans rarely saw in Kree-Valaxians: fear. Impossible, Zorax gasped, his voice translator crackling with interference. Your world, it fights for you. Harrison raised his weapon. That's what you never understood, General. Earth isn't just where we live. It's part of who we are. General Zorax stood amid the ruins of his command center, his once immaculate armor now dented and dirty. The mountain continued to tremble with aftershocks, each one causing the alien leader to flinch visibly. His elite guards lay incapacitated around him, their systems overwhelmed by Earth's seismic assault. You have a choice, Harrison said, keeping his weapon trained on the alien general. Continue this invasion and watch your entire force be destroyed, or negotiate terms for withdrawal. Zorax's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Dr. West had identified as indicating deep thought among Kree-Valaxians. The general's translator crackled as he spoke. 17 worlds, he said quietly. I have conquered 17 worlds, and none fought back like this. Earth is different, Harrison replied. We're different. Around them, reports flooded in from across the globe. Kree-Valaxian forces were in retreat, abandoning their positions as Earth's defenders pressed their advantage. The alien ships that had seemed so threatening just days ago now scrambled to evacuate their troops. General, came an urgent transmission from orbit. Our fleet sustains heavy losses, requesting immediate withdrawal authorization. Zorax seemed to deflate, his tall frame sagging under Earth's gravity. The Kree-Valaxian Empire does not surrender, he said stiffly. Then call it a strategic reassessment, Dr. West suggested, stepping forward to join Harrison. Your empire now understands Earth represents a different kind of challenge, one requiring diplomacy rather than conquest. 3 days later, Harrison and Dr. West sat across from Zorax in a hastily prepared negotiation room at the United Nations. The alien general had shed his battle armor for simpler diplomatic attire, though he still moved awkwardly in Earth's gravity. Our treaty offers are simple, the Secretary General explained. The Kree-Valaxian Empire will withdraw all forces from Earth and recognize our planet as a sovereign, protected world. And in exchange, Zorax asked, his voice translator now adjusted to sound less threatening. Cultural and scientific exchange, Dr. West replied. We have much to learn from each other, but as equals, not as conquerors and conquered. Zorax signed the treaty with a ceremonial mark from all 4 of his hands, a gesture of highest respect in Kree-Valaxian culture. As he did, ships across Earth began their final withdrawal, leaving behind only designated diplomatic vessels. 1 month after the invasion began, Harrison stood on the roof of the Pentagon, watching the sunset with Dr. West beside him. The sky was clear of alien vessels for the first time in weeks. The repairs will take years, Harrison noted, thinking of the cities damaged in the fighting. But we survived, Dr. West replied. More than that, we earned respect. Harrison nodded. The Defense Council is already implementing what we learned. New seismic monitoring stations, planetary defense systems, And 17 new diplomatic missions, Dr. West added with a small smile. One for each world in the Kree-Valaxian Empire. Their conversation was interrupted by Bennett, who approached with a tablet in hand. "Sir, the first data exchange with the Kree-Valaxians just came through. They provided star charts for systems we haven't even observed yet." Harrison took the tablet, studying the information that represented humanity's first step into a much larger community of worlds. "They underestimated us, but we won't make the same mistake with others out there. They thought Earth was just a prize to be taken," Dr. West said, looking up at the stars now appearing in the darkening sky. "They didn't realize it was our greatest ally." In orbit, a single Kree-Valaxian diplomatic vessel maintained position over the United Nations. Inside, General Zorax, now Ambassador Zorax, prepared his first formal communication to his homeworld. "The species of Earth," he dictated carefully, "are not to be underestimated. Their connection to their world grants them strength that technology alone cannot counter. I recommend highest diplomatic status and immediate alliance considerations." He paused, looking down at the blue planet below. "They call themselves human," he continued, "and their world trembles not in fear, but in their defense. The Empire would be wise to remember this. On Earth, nightfall brought a peace that felt different than before. Humanity looked to the stars with new understanding, not alone in the universe, but ready to stand their ground. Whatever came next, Earth and its people had proven themselves a force to be reckoned with, not through superior technology, but through resilience, adaptability, and the unique bond with the living planet they called home. 5 years after the Kree-Valaxian invasion, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. The skyline of New York City now featured a towering structure of alien design, the Galactic Embassy, where representatives from 12 different spacefaring civilizations maintained diplomatic missions to Earth. Major Jack Harrison, now General Harrison, walked through its main atrium, nodding to the various alien diplomats he passed. Some resembled humans closely, while others were so different they required special environmental suits to survive in Earth's atmosphere. "Still feels strange, doesn't it?" asked Dr. Olivia West, walking beside him. Her position as Earth's chief xenobiological advisor had made her one of the most important scientists on the planet. "Having breakfast with beings from other stars." "Yeah, still strange," Harrison agreed with a small smile. They entered a conference room where Lieutenant Bennett, now Colonel Bennett, waited with holographic displays showing Earth's new defense network. The system combined human ingenuity with technology shared by their new allies. "The seismic warning grid is fully operational," Bennett reported. "Any ship approaching Earth is now automatically scanned for vulnerability to planetary conditions." Harrison nodded approvingly. "And the cultural exchange programs? 30,000 human students are currently studying on other worlds," Dr. West replied. "And we're hosting almost twice that many alien scholars here." Their meeting was interrupted when a young aide rushed in. "General, the Planetary Council requests your immediate presence. Ambassador Zorax has arrived with urgent news." In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from Earth's nations sat alongside alien diplomats. At the center stood Zorax, his once fearsome appearance now familiar to humans worldwide through educational programs and public appearances. "Friends of Earth," Zorax began, his translator now perfectly modulated to sound pleasant to human ears. "I bring warning of grave danger. The Nexeri Collective has broken our mutual non-aggression pact. They have already conquered 2 outer systems, and now set their sights on this sector." Murmurs spread through the assembly. The Nexeri had been mentioned in Kree-Valaxian records as a highly aggressive species with technology even more advanced than the Kree-Valaxians. "Unlike my people," Zorax continued, "the Nexeri show no capacity for diplomatic resolution once they begin expansion. They convert planets entirely to their needs, rendering them uninhabitable for the original species." Harrison stepped forward. "What are their weaknesses?" Zorax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "They evolved in high gravity, surrounded by extreme electromagnetic fields. Their neural systems cannot process certain radiation frequencies. He paused. But their adaptive technology compensates for these vulnerabilities. Just like your dampening fields compensated for seismic sensitivity, Harrison noted. Yet Earth still found a way. Later, as Earth's defenses were placed on high alert, Harrison stood with Dr. West on the observation deck of the new International Space Defense Center. Below them, scientists and military personnel from 24 nations worked alongside alien allies to prepare for the coming threat. 5 years ago, we were alone and thought ourselves at the peak of development. Dr. West reflected. Now we're part of something so much larger. Harrison watched as Zorax entered the command center below, now working side by side with the same humans he had once tried to conquer. The Kree-Valaxians underestimated Earth because they saw only our technology, not our spirit, Harrison said. The Nexeri will make the same mistake. Dr. West smiled. And we have something they don't expect. What's that? Friends, she replied simply, gesturing to the diverse beings working together in the center. The Kree-Valaxian Empire, the Peldorian Alliance, the Terendi Syndicate, all standing with Earth now. On the main screen, distant sensors showed the first signs of Nexeri scout ships entering the outer solar system. A new threat approached, but Earth was no longer an isolated world awaiting its fate. Send word to all our allies, Harrison ordered as he turned toward the command floor. The defense of Earth begins at the edge of our solar system, not on our doorstep. As alarms sounded and the planetary defense grid activated, Harrison felt something unexpected: confidence. Earth had taken its place among the stars not as a conquest, but as a world respected and even feared. Whatever came next, humanity would face it standing tall, with both their planet and new allies beside them. The ground beneath their feet would tremble once again, but this time, the entire galaxy would feel it.